Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. So welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startup, where Nicola and we discuss the major news from startup land from last week. So without further ado, welcome Nick.
Ciao Jack.
It was a cool week. It was a very interesting week, different deals. Pretty good size, I would say. Starting from social housing, coming to Italy, they're pretty strong actually, like with a strong founder, Andrea Colombo. Big experience with Ustart, investing across Europe, I would say. Very, smart guy. So launching something about social housing, which in Italy is kind of the first, I would say.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but that type of market is well. In Italy, it seems that we are quite good in working there, not really strictly speaking the social housing, but in the housing space in general. Think about Dove Vivo. Think about the German competitor of Dove Vivo. I always forget the name. That's founded by Italians. So that in these proxies, in this market proxies, there is a lot of activities out of Italy.
Yeah, we like to reinvent the way people will live in the future. You know, we like to be social. We like to reinvent how to be social again.
So it seems. Dove Vivo is more like a shared living ecosystem, so shared apartments, shared spaces. So social housing is slightly different, but still, it seems that we are investing a lot in renovating the way we live, as you were saying. So quite interesting.
Yeah, and pretty substantial round, I would say. That's definitely off all the experience that Andrea has across the industry. So I'm super pumped for this initiative. In a short amount of time, it seems managed to raise a great round, 5.5 million, which is the biggest of last week in Italy. And good media coverage and great project, kind of starting from Milan and then evolving beyond Milan in Turin and other cities like Rome, Bologna, and Florence.
Yeah, what I was thinking about is that basically this is a real estate business, right? So I don't know whether they're going to acquire or just rent the space. And actually, the very first building that they're going to renovate and adapt to social housing is close to my house. So
Cool.
I have a visual of the building, so I know what it is.
You might move, Nick. You might move there.
I will think about it. Well, even though social housing, the social part is really about sharing, and that's interesting because you can live in a pretty luxurious place if you think about all the services that you can share and add to this new type of building. Shared kitchen, shared living room. Yes, that's fine. What about shared swimming pool? Shared gym? Not too bad, right? I think that's about adapting the spaces to a different way of living. But you can create pretty rich spaces if you want.
Yeah, my feel is gonna be like how exactly they're gonna define social, because there are already luxury apartment complex with all amenities, and it's part of the deal of the complex. Fine. There are experiments of co-living, which are kind of intense. When you share a kitchen or you share a bathroom, maybe it's not good for family. So again, it's very specific, very vertical. There are also cases where there are community managers for these kind of spaces, where actually there is a very active office organizing events, putting together parties, movie nights, and so on and so forth. So probably that's where it's heading, I guess.
If you visit the website, you have the power to visit and share the screen, and you scroll down, you will see the shared features of the space. And I'm probably thinking about moving actually now.
Let's go and see. No, that's good. Definitely love the design, love the feel. I kind of want to move. Yeah, there you go. Share features. Rooftop. Okay, I'm sold. That's it.
Luxurious private pool, co-working areas, food co-op to get groceries, cinema, performance hall.
Yeah. No, but
Fitness
even
area with the gym.
imagine that having space for working with both shared spaces and maybe private space. That's again redefining sort of the way of living.
Exactly. But to go back to my initial point that I lost somewhere in my reasoning. This is a real estate business. So if they are acquiring the building, they're basically acquiring a building, renovating the building, and managing the building. So it's interesting that we are entering startup land with basically a real estate investment that you acquire, renovate, and manage.
Yeah.
So that's old school real estate business, dressed up like a shiny startup.
Yeah, but where is the digital part? Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. Where's the digital part which can empower this kind of living?
Let me read it out loud to you. Tulou app enabling Tulouers to engage with each other and take part in the community's events, services, and activities.
Mm-hmm.
There you are, digital served. That's marginal, I believe, but still, does it make it digital?
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, it's kind of building a tiny social network within the building, which maybe at the beginning is marginal, maybe in the sort of overview of and the long-term vision, maybe that can become something when you have multiple locations. You know, maybe there are ways to kind of go around. There are experiments of that I've seen in the US where actually, you know, you can become a member in a co-living space, and then you have access to different locations. That's for young professionals that can work remotely, they want to experience traveling and so on, maybe for a few years. That's a very interesting model because it's never been done before, and if the experience is seamless, that's definitely valuable. I can see my younger self paying for that, to be honest with you. So I'm sure.
I agree. I kind of agree with you. Yeah. Anyhow, pretty cool. Let's see how it evolves when they open up.
Yeah. All right. Second biggest round is gonna be by Oltre Ventures. It's Ubiquicom, which is essentially, if I'm not mistaken, a company specializing in tracking technologies for supply chain in general. So basically giving a bunch of data sets for different kind of industries, being it like product, being it services, and they're really working on different kind of like precise and technical installation. Very technical. I was kind of surprised that Oltre Ventures would be interested in that, but then I'm kind of digging through, then you can really see the value of it, which is optimizing flows. And one other element which I thought it was interesting is that this is the first investment of Oltre 3, which is their third fund. So basically, for the viewer, we have Oltre Ventures has 3 funds right now, which are active. Oltre 1 is kind of the POC fund that they started at the beginning. Oltre 2 is where they did most of the deployment, I think raising about 40 million euros. And Oltre 3 is the one focusing on scale up and larger size project. So it's awesome because actually they're covering a lot. And just with the 3 funds, they managed to enter into very interesting companies. So yeah.
If you want an additional number, Oltre 3 raised 63 million. And I have to apologize to Oltre because I kept calling them Oltre Venture, but actually they rebranded as Oltre Impact.
Okay.
My apologies for that.
Okay.
And I have to say, I was reading the quote by the partner of Oltre Impact that led the investment, and what he says is basically it's interesting because he says our strategy is to invest in companies that have a strong growth trajectory with a solid management team and the will to help and solve social and environmental problems. In Ubiquicom case, we were impressed by their commitment to find solutions to contribute to enhance workers' security.
Yeah,
So that's the angle.
I think that's you're right. Yeah, worker security in productive and logistic sites. Yeah, that's definitely the angle. So a kind of a more stable business, maybe just already launched in several application, industrial, but it has like a positive impact, which is definitely measurable and definitely like viable. So not necessarily like a burdening startup, but something that is more solid. So interesting.
No, absolutely. And
It's,
I have to say that I know the CEO and founder of the startup very well, Stefano Sarasso.
Okay,
We
cool.
used to work together in a project, in a consulting project many years ago. And he's a very thorough and experienced entrepreneur and a manager. So
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure that the company is quite solid and very well positioned in the market.
Beautiful. Moving on, Akiflow raising 1.8 million from Benson Oak and several business angels. So Akiflow, basically, we're switching completely. We're talking about productivity, specifically personal productivity and company productivity. Italian founders. This round has been backed by a lot of different, like, kind of, well-known investors, I would say, including Enrico Pandian, for example, which we mentioned many times. Benson Oak, I thought it was a very interesting venture capital firm, actually starting in the 80s and moving across geographies. So what happened is that they started essentially investing in the Czech Republic. I believe the founders are from Czech Republic and Slovakia. And so they were supporting a lot of tech projects there, and then moving to Israel and then opening up to Europe. So it was quite a journey for them. It was super interesting. There you go. Yeah.
And Akiflow as a startup is a Y Combinator alumnus.
Yes.
So this is basically the deal they are raising after participating to YC, I believe in 2021.
I think so, yeah.
Yep. I have to say that they managed to be number one product of the day, and that's not easy feat. So very good in terms of being creating hype around a geeky product, and that's important, I would say. I believe that a lot of people on Product Hunt are actually looking for productivity hacks.
Yeah. Totally. And I think it's about time that these big aggregators of tools are getting some traction, because we need it. Like, you take email, you take notes on Notion, you send email through Superhuman, a part of your team is from Asana, part is on Slack, and then it's all a bunch of, tabs open, slowing down your computer, and then you kind of get lost. So I like this kind of place. It really can focus the work and can really provide a lot of value for even for personal management, for personal task management. So it's I thought it was good.
In retrospect, in hindsight, actually, it looks like a no-brainer solution. I mean, all of these tools have APIs.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just about time that somebody just took all these APIs and put them all together into some kind of theme layer, and you have everything into a single location. So
totally.
Tip of the hat for the idea and for the execution so far, I would say.
I agree. Very interesting. All right, moving on. I want to bring up Neva SGR, actually. So Neva has been very active for, basically Neva is the venture arms of Intesa Sanpaolo Bank. They've been investing, I believe, almost for 10 years around different technological plays. More and more active in the last years into venture capital, not only in Italy, but also pretty much across all continents, with medium to big size deals. So really a good job, a very, a very substantial team. So yeah, that I would say it's a good example of how a bank is actually managing corporate VC in a way. And on a different note, compared to other banks that we've seen in other episodes where they're kind of verticalized on their services, what the Neva guys are doing are really kind of spreading the portfolio across a lot of different elements, being it quantum computing, talking about the latest round with Classicq, to blockchain, okay, maybe something more digital finance, well, closer to like a bank play, but not exclusively, like the Orbit, some insurtech. So it's pretty spread out, I would say.
I agree. And this investment is probably another one of those tangential to the interest of the bank as well, because quantum is something that probably financial institutions are looking with some attentive eye, more or less. It is interesting that the Neva decided to participate in this round. It's a sizable round, actually, if I remember well.
Yeah.
We don't know how much.
We don't know how much, yeah.
But the round was, I had another news.
Let's see. Trying to retrieve some news, but it's not too clear actually.
Yeah, sorry, I connected. There you are. Okay, here we are. $36 million.
Okay, definitely sizable.
A Series B round where a lot of financial institutions invested. HSBC, Intesa San Paolo, and Entity Finance.
Interesting.
So Intesa San Paolo through Neva SGR. So this maybe some kind of, let's say, hints coming down to Neva from above. We don't know.
Very cool. Big player though. Definitely a big player, and very active. That's what matters for the ecosystem, I would say.
Previous investors included Hewlett Packard, Teammate, Wing VC, Spike Ventures, Samsung.
Yeah.
Lot of players.
Yeah. And I think, so the idea here is really to bring the number of qubits as higher as possible in terms of processing power. So they have like this software platform that essentially optimize these quantum circuits, which, I just read it. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it sounds something powerful and definitely helpful for like big computational problems. So yeah, definitely interesting for like a banking platform, processing like data like every day in the million, if not in the billions. So that's definitely something super functional.
Yeah, and going back to the last investments from last week. I just want to give a shout out to the Techshop for announcing the closing of the first two investments with their fund.
Ah, cool.
Hlpy and Tiledesk. 1.2 million, awesome. 600,000 each from the fund. So congratulations for the managers for their very first closings.
Beautiful. Do we have more information about the Techshop? Like what, in terms of fund size and strategy? I vaguely remember some information, but if you can tell us more, that would be super helpful.
Well, the Techshop is one of those SGRs, so venture capital firms launched last year. The closing of the first fund is, I believe, at about 35 million euros. The total magnitude, anyways. They operate at the seed stage, and if I'm not wrong, focus on business software, SaaS software.
B2B tech, there you go.
B2B tech space, there you are.
Interesting.
There you are. Yeah. There are two founders that comes from one from the venture space and the other from the entrepreneurship space.
Beautiful.
There you are. Gianluca and Aurelio.
Fantastic. Cool. Talking about funds, actually, let's talk about Indaco Bio, the new biotech fund announced last week, closing at 95 million euro with a goal of 150, basically focused on biotech. So Indaco has been a big player in the Italian ecosystem for years. I think currently they have like 4 or 5 funds active, I would say. So they've been investing across different sectors, in particular digital electronics and robotics, healthcare and new material. And right now they're looking into the biotech space. So they're kind of, it's a new thematic fund that they're building.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not much to add there. The anchor investors are the usual suspects.
Okay.
We have, I believe, the European Investment Fund. We have CDP, Venture Capital Fund of Funds, Intesa San Paolo. We've got a pension fund of engineers and architects in Casa.
Oh, wow.
So the usual suspects, investors in the VC fund. So
interesting.
Everything is by the book.
And by the book.
Congrats for the closing.
Yeah, I mean, it's working in Italy, honestly. That's the way right now we see in the past months has been going, essentially. You have the classic institutions, which are the 5 suspects, and then they are joined by other, big players, sometimes foundations. So you have some family office, and this is it. That's the way to 100 million fund, basically, right now, I would say. Because without those, I don't think there is I don't know. Is there a fund in Italy which is above, let's say, 60 million without CDP? Let's see. That's a tough question. I don't know.
No idea. If I had to, I've got no idea.
We'll research. My feeling is that Italy, thanks to CDP and the foundations, they really can launch these bigger funds. But if it was not for them, private capital is still like, on the low side in a certain sense, maybe.
Well, consider that CDP Venture Capital has been active investing with the fund of funds since 2020.
Yeah.
The same job had been done by Fondo Italiano di Investimento, that's again controlled by CDP. So it was doing the same basically. And I have no idea. So if I had to put some money on something, maybe 360?
Maybe 360. But wait, 360, you have the French and the Spanish people. So, exactly. It's a broader base. You have international LPs coming in. So that's interesting. That's super interesting. All right. Let's talk about corporate venture capital, my favorite. We have the friends at Granarolo, a company acquiring White&Seeds, a company that have crossed a couple of years ago when they were about to launch. They had their first POC product in different kind of yogurt with the chia seeds and stuff like that. It was very cool. And it's a great news that companies such as, of course, huge companies like Granarolo got really interested into the deal, and they acquired 51%. Another example of how corporate VC is actually kind of spreading, and companies are becoming sensitive to that.
Yeah, it is also in the food sector. That's
there you go. Yeah.
I'm surprised because I was pretty sure that White&Seeds was a bigger company than what actually is, because from the article, they have a turnover of over 100,000 euros.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
Lower than I expected.
Totally.
Because I see them around quite a lot.
Yeah.
Great,
which is a good thing, which is a good sign in a way, because you see them around, but they're maybe in the growth phase. They just need more firepower in order to kind of scale and production wise. I mean, this is kind of a hardware startup in a way, so you actually need capital expenses to actually scale. And I'm sure with the people in Granarolo you can find economies of scales like they couldn't do it before with the third party producer. So
I totally agree. That's for sure. So sorry, Jack.
No, go ahead.
No, that's for sure. So far, it seems to me that they nailed the distribution because they put their products where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, my feel is that it's a lot kind of it's kind of a product / branding play where Granarolo, kind of the old school grandpa, is moving around Italy, but White&Seeds speaks to the new Gen Z with new ingredients. And if you even look at the different product placement platform, I mean, we're not talking about the classic GDO channels. We're talking about I believe Cortiglia, Italy, more sort of in companies that are more oriented toward innovation in the future in a way, I would say. So that can be a good way to talk with the new generation. There you go, Fresco Frigo, Cortiglia, Italy, Conad, for example, Herbert, another startup. There you go. So very cool, very interesting. On a final note, Nick, we just touched 1 billion in Italy, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So it seems. I mean, I have to always say that the deals at the beginning of the year are probably deals that happened at the end of 2021, but I just found out or reported about them in January. 1, and 2, there is an outlier in there. That's the I do account for both equity and debt.
Okay.
So in that number you have Hlpy.
Yeah.
In the round there is a lot of debt, of course. In addition to equity, and there's the bond by DR Blitz. That's 100 million bonds at the end of 2021, and also in the end.
So I would say net of the bond and net of the debt position from Hlpy, we are around probably 700. I would say, I was about to say 700. Yeah, exactly, 700 probably. Cool. That's cool though. That's interesting. Well above anyway, last year for sure. And last year was awesome. So I mean, it seems like slowing down as a trend, but again, we have this big gap here. But the direction is super interesting. So that's cool.
I was taking a look at the aggregate data, and one incredible outlier, is the impact of Hlpy in the funds raised in the last 2 years, 2021, 2022.
Oh, wow.
So Hlpy alone accounts for 50% of the capital raised.
Wow. Massive. Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't normalize. Let's not normalize and live in our...
Sorry, to be precise, 50% this year and 30% between 2021 and 2022.
Okay, still massive though. Still massive.
Yeah. I mean, one third over almost 18 months.
I mean, this year probably that has the chance of counting again for a good 30%. If this is the trend, it's still a big round. Yeah. Still is going to have a huge impact.
Unless we have some potential late stage news coming up, but considering what's going on in Europe and in the US, with the freezing down of a lot of late stage deals, or slowing down at least, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Awesome. Nick, thank you so much. Great recap, super interesting. Thank you all the listener for joining, and I'll see you next week with another episode of the Week in Italian Startups.
Thank you, Jack. Have a great week. Ciao, everybody.